Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda, and today I'm doing the counterfeit kit challenge number 1, which is use triangles. And I'm doing this photo of my youngest, whose birthday is today. And I chose out this paper with the kind of like cherry blossoms. The center of the cherry blossoms are the same blue as that coordinations paper. And I chose these two specifically for my kiddos' eye color and the color of their shirt. And then that bottom paper is, I think it's a Pink Fresh one. And if you want me to let you know exactly what that paper is, just let me know in the comments below. I still have the branding strip. And so I am going to do a full triangle background. And I've seen lots of ladies do this before with different styles of triangles and different ways of doing it. But I haven't actually ever given it a go with the triangles. So that is my triangle bit for today. The two pattern papers I have are from my kit, so that is a fun way to play with my kit. And so I'm going to get the two patterns and that blue on the black background. And so I was trying to figure out how to cut these triangles. I used my pencil for a minute, a vinyl eraser, like my white eraser that I have. If you're going to draw on your paper, is a super tool to have. So I'm just trying to visualize what I want this next triangle to look like. So I know the top one's going to look like that. And then if I change it like this, it means I can use this line and line it up, and that triangle is not too bad. So I'm going to use that to start with. And those pieces will line up, and then I don't do it exactly the same way after that, but that's okay. It makes it a little harder on myself. Had I used that same paper that I just cut and did the same thing with what I just did to figure out that heart triangle, those pieces would have been a lot more similar in size, and those angles would have been the same. But as you can see, I'm not doing that now. So I'm just playing around with paper. I know that I want them all to be triangles. I know I want the hearts to be straight. I was debating on butting up that heart paper against itself, and I decided I didn't like that. And then taking a look, seeing how it's going, I definitely want to continue with the pattern I have. You could put them on randomly if you wanted. I don't work that way typically. It's not how my brain is. I don't know why. It just isn't. So a little piece of that one. I'm going to square this off so I can get a nice piece of that one. And I am going to do some of the cutting out of the blue. So I don't want to waste the blue. So I'm trying to move this one up and use this edge. And then I move the next one up and I line the edge up and the corner and the other edge and draw the line. And that works out okay. It's just the other one that makes it hard to do. So I was trying to not use up too much of that coordinations paper because I don't have very much of it, and it's lovely to sand, and yeah. So if I didn't want to sand this, I would have literally just put those other pieces right on that blue cardstock and called it good. But here in a second, I'm going to show you that I definitely want to sand those edges. It just gives a different texture to the background. So I am cutting my white cardstock to be 12 by 12. I need a new trimmer because this is not cutting square anymore, and it's really starting to annoy me. Really starting to annoy me. And it's not the trimmer, like it's not the blade itself. There's nothing in the guideline, so it is what it is. So yeah. New trimmer to come to me. Anyways, so I'm going to get these ones down on the white paper. I'm just going to line up the edge and the corner and the edge, and to get it on. And then the blue piece, and this is where I'm going to use my sanding block, and I'm going to pull this up so you can see it, and well, kind of see it. I'm literally just using my edge of my mat that I craft on and which is on the edge of my table, and my sanding block, and just adding some sanding there, and then it's just going to go on. So I'll show you that on the one, and then I'll skip through it on the other two because, yeah, you don't see a lot of it anyway. So I'm just lining that up. It's not quite lined up on the edge there. I don't really notice until a second here later, but this glue will, it's been sticking okay. It's a new glue to me. The AdTech wasn't staying long term with my pages. I've had to go in and glue some stuff. So we're going to try this one and see how it goes. And this is where I know that, hey, something's not quite square there, because this piece should be going on nice and it's not. And I'm like, was it this one that was supposed to go there? No, it wasn't. It was definitely that one. And so I'm like, on it goes. And it's annoying me because those hearts are now not straight. So I gotta take a look at this. Like, I have this blue piece. Will this blue piece work? It could work. I don't know. We'll see. Trying to piece this together. My pieces go from a little bit larger to smaller, and oh well, it is what it is. And so now I'm going to realign this one, because I've noticed that, yep, it totally is this one. And then this one can go on, and it goes on a little nicer. This one is still not perfect, but I'm going to line up the edge instead of where those triangle pieces meet. And then this line actually matches that other one, which is nice. So then that one's going to go on there. And then this works out a little bit better. I do want a tiny bit of this as well, and some more blue, but not like that. Not like that. Look at me be picky with the, yeah. So I'm gonna get this one on, and then I obviously off screen scuffed it all up or distressed it, which might be part of my problem too with them lining up, but I still wanted to do that, so it was what it was. I could have done it right on the page, but then my hearts and my flowers would have been a little distressed too, which wouldn't have been the end of the world. But so I'm going to cut a different triangle here, and that works out. And then this one will fit just fine on this corner. And then I'm going to get those glued down and scuffed up, and the little bits that are hanging off, which is not very much, trimmed off so that it's mostly square. And then I'm going to pull out some embellishments. So pull out those. I'm not going to use them. Pull out these dollar store flowers, and I am actually going to use them. I'm going to use 3 of those white ones. And then I was like, I need something else. So I did pull out some minty from the Traveler collection, but I don't use it. So I didn't show you going through all of that, because when I do use that, I will show you that. But they're on my page for a second, the globe and the 2 cameras and some of the hearts, but I don't use any of them. But I do pull out the Jen Hadfield flowers, because I thought these flowers actually match that Pink Fresh Studio hearts page, pattern paper page. So I've already decided not to use those other ones. They're off to the side. And I'm just pulling out everything I think might work. And this ends up being a process and a half, because I decided to use different ones than I put out. And it is what it is. I wanted to tie in the heart pages. There's a little bit of like an orangey color that is nowhere else. So I kind of wanted to tie that in with this strip, because I am tying in the light blue, and the pink are also in that heart page. Those colors work so well together. And I wanted the bright stuff to still stand out with that blue paper and the little flower paper. So I thought that worked better. Just gives it a punch of more color. And so where I've got it situated now is a little lower than what I actually wanted it. So I'm just gonna like, will stuff work here? Stuff will work here. That'll work here. Maybe, sort of. This could overlap. What else do I have? So I'm opening up this I'm just pulling all of the stuff that I have left, which when I look at it, I have a lot left still. It's gone on lots of different pages. I'm looking for, specifically in this set, I'm looking for there's 2 bees in here that I know I haven't used. And so I was looking for those and then anything else that might work. But nothing else I think came out of that except for the beehive. And if I'm going to use my last 2 bees out of this collection, I'm definitely going to use the beehive. So there's the beehive. On this goes. Deciding that, no, this heart is a little too big. I'm going to pull out the leaves now. And these leaves, I don't know if they're supposed to be like folded on a page or like I don't know. But I've cut them apart. And that's what I'm going to do with probably the rest of them too, is cut them apart and use them as this kind of stuff. But I don't know. Just don't know about how they were meant to be used. And then I decided I should mat my photo before I get too much further. So I do know I want to pull in the pink paper again. And I was thinking of doing the pink and the blue. The white won't make a difference with the hearts. But then I decide I just want a little bit more of it to pop. So I'm going to use the black and the pink. And I'll throw this into a baggie that I got from a subscription at some point. That makes it a little nicer to manage. And then I'm going to cut through this for 6 1/4 by 4 1/2, 4 1/4, something like that. It's not quite the 6 and whatever I wanted it to be. I find anything between 6 and 6 1/2 on this trimmer hard to do just because there's no guidelines there. And I find it annoying. So, it is what it is. It hasn't been a bad trimmer. It is bugging me right now. So I'm going to see if I can find something else that works better. I don't know with the arm part of things if there's going to be anything else that I can really do that will make a difference on how I put the stuff together. But so on the black it goes. I'm just going to rough this up a little bit. You saw that I trimmed off a little bit more of the extra on the 6 side of things that wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. And I just eyeballed that to make it more of what I wanted. And it is just the smallest bit of matte around that photo, but it really does make it pop off that page a bit more. And this is where I decided it needs to be up further. So I do want the flower bits to follow along one of the lines of the triangle. And I do want my kiddo's eyes to be in line with one of the blue pieces. So that's why I decided to move it up a whole lot, not just a little bit. It also gives me room for a title in a couple spots. So when I move it up to be way up here, I could put the title on the blue piece beside her eyes, or I could put it underneath. So it gives me some options there. Whereas when my stuff was lower down, it really limited where I could put the title. So I put some foam backing on my photo, and I'm foaming this piece that's going to overlap the shoulder. And then this piece is going to go under, but it's going to go high enough up that it's going to overlap with the foam piece eventually. So I do put this down a little bit too low to start with, but it wasn't too bad to take up after I decided I wanted to take it up. And we're going to try this all again. And yeah. So trimming off the edge of that bee. I'll do the other bee here in a second, just so that it has a nice curve around both wings, because one of them will have that and the rest of them won't, if that was the case. And curving this one. mostly that top edge I want to follow along that blue triangle. The bottom edge I'm not as concerned with, but I do want it to have kind of a resemblance of a triangle for that diagonal piece. It doesn't work perfectly that way, but that was my thought process. So, I just got a little more on it than maybe it probably needed, but that's okay. That kind of happens. So I like the way I set it up this way, and then I decide that this is too far down and I want it to be up a little bit. So then I'm going to follow the middle of that blue, like the blue line is going to be more middle, and that's what I've kind of done at the top anyway. So I just need to make it work a little bit better for what I've got going on. So and now instead of like redoing it all and not gluing, I'm going to glue because there's only so many ways I can do this again. And the way I do it means I get one less flower on here, but that's okay. Because that big pink one was on here to start with, but meh. I still have lots of this ephemera stuff left to use, so having a flower left is not a big deal. And then overlapping the beehive, this one's going to get tucked up here. Just add some green in a couple spots. And then I'm going to put the white flowers on. These are out of my kit too, and they're from the dollar store, and I like them. I'm not sure if they are paper. I'm not sure if they're actually meant for scrapbooking. They have the wires attached to them, and I have to cut the wires off. But I do like them on here. And then one more try for some of the Minte stuff that is not going on here. This other pink heart or pink flowers going on there, and then one more dimensional heart because I thought it needed one on this side. And so that goes on, and we're getting fairly close to being done here. I do want some enamel dots or something like that to add a little bit of sparkle. So I do pull out some that match. And I'm going to use these glassy kind of ones. I think these came from the dollar store too, but they're the same color of blue, and they do give a good good shine to the page, so it gives a different texture and pulls that blue into that diagonal really large cluster. Could be almost a shelf, although it doesn't go underneath the photo. So title could go there or here, and I'm going to use these stickers that are from the dollar store, and I'm going to spell out beautiful in these, and I'm going underneath, and that fit perfectly. I only had to do it once, which is amazing. And then I pulled out some blue letters because I want to spell blues. So the title is going to be Beautiful Blues, but I wanted one that would stand out, that would fit in that space really well, that it doesn't pull down too much further. And I did want it to be like different font, different size. So I used this one. If this one in this color had been in a handwritten one, I would have liked that even more, but I didn't have that. So this is what's happening. Trying those Mintes one more time. I'm going to give it a look. I sit with it for a few more minutes, but you don't have to see the minutes. And this is the page. Close up here, you can really see some of that texture on the coordinations and the other blue color coming through because it's blue on the back side and in the middle, and some of that sparkle. Here are some close-ups, and you can see some of that dimension from those flowers that I doubled up, which is lots of fun. A little bit of that embellishment cluster. Here's that mixed title and the page all together, and that's a wrap on today's page. If you loved how it came together today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share some crafty love in the comments. Make sure you take a look at the blog. The links are in the description below, And until next time, stay inspired, keep sassy, and full of ideas. Have a great day.